Hello, this is my second video for the Art of Conscious Change teacher training program. And in this video I'm going to talk about the importance of vitamin D intake. Last video was about the importance of breathing and the circulation in connection with our good immunity. In this video I'm going to talk about the immunity again, but in a connection with the vitamin D. But before I start talking about vitamin D, I'm going to tell you about one of my great misconceptions. And this misconception was about vitamin D. When I was a student, I was given to do a presentation about vitamin D, and this presentation was for the student medical symposium. And my mentor kept emphasizing that we need to say in this presentation that vitamin D is important to start taking from the moment that the child is born. And you know, I live in Macedonia and we have 240 sunny days. And since school, you have to know that this vitamin D is connected with the sun somehow. It triggers the cells in our body, so we have vitamin D. So you know, it's very funny, we have 240 sunny days and then we need to take vitamin D. Over the years I learned that as a protocol of taking a prevention of vitamin D, it's not something that is common in the northern countries like Germany, Norway. They don't give it to the children. And yet here we are in Macedonia and we give it to our children. And for me, it was a conspiracy theory of a great pharma that tries to sell us something and we start to take vitamin D. And these dogmas was very persistent in me until the 4 years of now, when a great amount of my patients went to test their level of vitamin D. And guess what happened? Only one of them had a normal level of vitamin D. All the others had a low level of vitamin D. And this got me thinking that maybe I was wrong. Around the same years came the theory of the Brazilian doctors about the protocol with a high dosage of vitamin D for treating of autoimmune diseases. This got me even more thinking because, you know, in medicine, autoimmune diseases are a great problem because medicine cannot treat them. We can treat the symptoms, but really we cannot treat the autoimmune disease because, you know, we trigger our own immunity to kill our own body, our own organism. So I decided to go deeper and deeper in this knowledge and to find out why don't we have vitamin D and how to get it. In this research I found that 50% of a human population have a low level of vitamin D, which is really serious because, you know, as a doctor you have a problem. Autoimmune diseases were something that you will see in elderly people or maybe middle-aged people, but you will never see in children or really young people. And over these years, last years, a lot of young people are getting autoimmune disease. I mean, 16-year-old girl getting multiple sclerosis, and that's devastating. So you have to learn, and if this is true, I said to myself, you have to do a really deep research about vitamin D. So, you know, I started to notice that I really don't like sun. And it was very strange because when I was a child, I really liked to lie on the beach next to my mom, get burned, and there was nothing wrong with it. But over the years, lying on the sun got to be really boring, so I stopped doing it. And since I stopped doing it, somehow I developed some sun allergy. It was very strange, and that got me even more scared from the sun, and I started hiding from it. I started acting like a vampire. So one of my friends looking at me how I, you know, constantly go in the shadow, I'm hiding from the sun, she said, you know, you might have vitamin D deficiency. That got me thinking even more, because a lot of people have a problem with the sun. they put sunscreen and they go to the beach. They put a lot of clothes and they go outside in the sunny day. And that got me thinking that this might be a big problem for vitamin D deficiency. And then, okay, we go to the sun, we don't cover ourselves, we don't put sunscreen, and then we have again vitamin D deficiency. What's wrong? Then a little bit more research, I found out that air pollution is one of the problems why UVB rays from the sun cannot reach our skin, because UVB are the ones that actually trigger vitamin D in our skin. We can produce it, we really can produce it, but we do not. And then something else is happening, type of the skin. For example, the ones that have less melanin in their skin cells are actually in better production of vitamin D than the ones that are darker. And here in Macedonia we are darker, we have more melanin in our skin because melanin is important to protect us from the sun. And this protection from the sun actually blocks UVB to activate calcium. And that's why here in Macedonia we need more calcium, vitamin D oral intake from the ones that live in Germany. For example, fair skin need to be in the sun 4 minutes, and the ones that have type 2 skin, they need to be 15 or 30 minutes in the sun just to have 1000 international units of vitamin D. And why is it so important? Why am I mentioning this? Well, I forgot to tell you, we are still the year of 2020. We reach up to October, thank God. But the winter is coming. That means less sunny days. That means more clothes on us. And that means even worse clinical picture of coronavirus and influenza is coming. So we have to keep up our immunity. So we need an intake of vitamin D. We still have sunny days, so maybe it's good for us, we can get sun. But for the ones that cannot get sun, I advise you deeply to start intaking vitamin D supplementation. Because this last month they've all finally found out that the prevention of corona can be done with vitamin D and high levels of vitamin D, and actually the treatment of coronavirus from the one that developed clinical picture of corona can be treated with high dosage of vitamin D. It's very interesting how this vitamin can be activated from the sun, and we are becoming like a vampire nation. 50%, as I mentioned before, of the human population have a low level of vitamin D. So, maybe vampirism can be treated with vitamin D. I'm just joking, maybe not joking. But, with all those high intake of garlic and high intake of holy water and stuff like that, maybe the real treatment of vampirism, like we are, the nation we are living, can be treated with high dosage of vitamin D. And it's very interesting because this vitamin gets not only the absorption, good absorption of calcium, magnesium and phosphorus, which is important for our bones and it's important for our teeth. But calcium is one element that gets in every metabolic process in our organism, immunity booster. Then it goes up to better concentration and focus. That's why we need calcium, that's why we need magnesium as well. And one important thing, that when the high level of vitamin D is in our body, then melatonin, you maybe know it, it's a hormone that it's in our brain. It's less excreted from our body. That means that melatonin is one of the hormones that produces good sleep and high emotional reactions. It prevents depression. So by taking vitamin D, you will feel more happy, more content, and more healthy. Thank you for watching. All best. Keep safe. Namaste.